Cool. So speaking on Gatsby, as you probably figured out by now. So who here has used Gatsby in some fashion or another? OK. Decent number. Cool. So jump in. So I'm Kyle Mathews. I founded the project. You follow me on Twitter. You can follow Gatsby on Twitter. So Gatsby, for those who haven't used it, it's for building blazing fast modern apps and websites with React. So you want React, and you want a website, and you want an app, and you don't want to configure Webpack and Babel for days, weeks, whatever. Then install Gatsby. It's a lot faster. Hey, that's it. That's my whole talk now. We can all go home and kind of relax a little bit. Yeah, so Gatsby has gotten really popular. It's like something around 26,000 stars. Over 500,000 downloads a month, 1,000+ contributors. It's going to be quite the little community, which is really fun. React.js.org, some of you might have been there. It's built on Gatsby. It's a Gatsby site. So my background, I did Drupal. That's where I cut my teeth in the programming world. Then I did a bunch of Backbone.js, kind of early real-time JavaScript web app days. It was fun times. And then 2014, I started doing React, and I'm presumably going to be doing it for a long time afterwards. I really like React. And yeah, so I started working. I built a web app in 2014, and it was amazing. It was just so much better. It was like I was driving my car and somebody handed me the keys to a spaceship or something like that. And that's what it felt like going from Backbone to React. It was really transformational. And I didn't want to use anything else ever. And then Gatsby came about because I needed to build a website, and just the idea of building anything for the web, and then I wasn't using React components. Sounded painful, and so I built the first version of Gatsby so that I could build out my little site with React. And the whole idea, from the beginning was, you statically render, React to static HTML. So you kind of build, and then you build a JavaScript version of it. So you have kind of two versions of the site, like a static HTML version and then a JavaScript version. And then you load the HTML first, and then you pull in the minimal amount of JavaScript that's necessary to kind of bootstrap the site in the client, and then it turns into a full React app. And then from then on, your website is now actually a single-page React app. So it's like loads HTML, loads JavaScript, and then turns into a React app. But it still feels like a website, and you're clicking around. But instead of being slow like a website, it's fast like an app. It's kind of the idea. Yeah. So and it's cool because if you're just doing a simple site type thing, that's just content, whatever, it's fine and great and awesome because you're using React. But if you need to throw in some forms, you throw in some interactivity stuff, it's just React. So it's trivial. Where some other system, it's you have to kind of push in React through the site or something or whatever. But yeah, if it's all React from the get-go, it's very simple to add, to kind of go from simple static site to adding any sort of interactivity. So it's also known as universal JavaScript. You run the same JavaScript everywhere, and it works everywhere. You write all your templates in one format, React. And so the initial version of release of Gatsby was May 21st, 2015. So 3.5 years ago, for those who don't want to do math. Anyways, and the initial release of Gatsby was pretty simple. It was kind of normal static site generators. Jekyll, Hugo, Hexo, but for React. That was kind of the intention. And I rebuilt my blog and a little startup company website. And the DX was really good, and the site performance was amazing. So I was pretty happy. And then people started using it. And so when people use something that you make, they are never happy. It's like that story of the camel that stuck his head in the, and then there's a sandstorm. Camel stuck his nose in the tent. Instead of hitting that nose and making him stay outside in the sandstorm, they let him in, and pretty soon, that wasn't really relevant. But it's kind of it's you start feeding people something, and they just want more features. And anyways, so people were like, hey, I want to use this with the stuff. So the initial version was Markdown. So they're like, hey, what about CMSs? What about themes? What about code and data splitting? So that Gatsby could handle larger sites. And what I gradually realized is that people saw potential in Gatsby for something much more than just a simple little static site generator. They wanted to use it as what I now call the presentation layer for their CMS. So not just normal old static site generator. And this got me really excited because, as I mentioned earlier, my tech background is I started in Drupal, and I did a lot of kind of heavy content, complex content, kind of sites. And I realized that Gatsby could turn into something that solved problems similar to Gatsby, but using kind of all this modern engineering practices that you get with Gatsby. So theory section. So if you look at a traditional monolithic CMS, you have kind of these two layers that are coupled together. You have the presentation layer and the content backend. So the content backend's where you're setting up your content models. There's permissioning. There's admin screens for creating or editing content. A whole bunch of different stuff. And the presentation layer is PHP templates or .NET or whatever you're using that it takes the content and then generates the site. And it also includes how you run the site and whatever. And what we think of as a CMS normally is the kind of all those things together. And yeah, so the trend kind of in the last 5 years, though, is to kind of decouple the CMS, where the CMS, the content management part, is now just fronted by an API. And then you have some other system which is then pulling data and then presenting it to the web, which is great because it allows you a lot more flexibility in how you build the site. You can also use it in a multimodal kind of way where you can have a native app, which is pulling in content as well as your website and stuff like that. So there's a lot of really strong pushes towards this model. And that's what people were saying is hey, Gatsby is this really sweet development environment. It creates really fast sites. I love being able to use React for websites, but I need some way to pull in the data from these CMSs. So the question was how to connect Gatsby to the headless CMSs. How to bridge that gap between your components and then the content wherever it may be. And the solution I came up with is what I called source plugins and GraphQL. And so now you have the same two layers, but in the middle you have this build time GraphQL layer that pulls in content using GraphQL queries and then kind of at build time bakes it into the site so that all the content of your entire site is kind of available statically, and you can deploy it to a web server, and it all runs really fast. And that I released in V1. So V1 was support for sourcing remote data with GraphQL, came out last year. So now you can just install a source plugin for wherever your data is coming from, and that's just on NPM. And then using that, your React components are glued to data from your headless CMS. And so you can query your data from your React component. So doing stuff like this, where you have a normal React component at the top, and then down below you have a GraphQL query, which is grabbing the HTML and the title, and then putting it into the component. And so now the community has been really busy building out source plugins for all sorts of different services and CMSs. And so there's probably 100 plus now. I haven't counted in a while, but it's definitely over 100. Almost anything you can imagine, just install a plugin, and then you can use it to build a site with. So source plugins, and there's other plugins as well. There's up to 466 Gatsby plugins. So yeah, and so the goal of Gatsby is, kind of reiterate, is create a great developer experience. You kind of batteries included sort of thing. You don't have to set up Webpack. You don't have to set up Babel. You're building a React website or web app. Everything's going to take care of it. You just install it, and then you just drop in your React components, and you start building. You need data from some external source. You drop in a plugin for that, and you start writing GraphQL queries, and it all just sort of works. And then we also of course, take that great developer experience and add on a really, really fast site builds that make sure that your sites are as fast as a site can possibly be. So there's been really strong community growth for the last year. So GitHub stars have been going up, which is a proxy for something. Anyways, so 11,000, or not 11,000, that'd be nice. 1,139 total contributors. We're getting somewhere around 85 PRs per week, which is a lot if you watch the repo. It's a kind of a floodgate. I like reading tweets about Gatsby. Charlotte Dan, she said, I made this website with Gatsby.js and I'm totally in love with it. React site generators are the future. Really loving Gatsby's tutorials and documentation. Seems like the perfect balance of depth and getting started quickly. Yeah, we spent a lot of time on our tutorial and docs. My word Gatsby.js is impressive. The sort of thing that's so well done, you want to make up reasons to use it, however preposterous. It's a good word. Everyone should say that. And then, bloody hell, that loads fast. That's fun. And then, who here uses Lighthouse Audit for stuff? Everyone should. It's built into Chrome now. It's super cool. Well, it might not make you feel cool, depending on your site. But so it's a performance auditing tool from Google. And you can just point it at your site and then click Run Audit. And it'll tell you, how bad, or actually, how good you are doing, I guess. It's very affirming. Anyways, yeah, so we actually really love it. The Google Chrome team that works on this are awesome. And anyway, so it's actually really helpful for working in Gatsby, because we can just run audits on sites that Gatsby produced and then figure out how to make things faster. And so to the point that a Gatsby site out of the box is basically perfect as far as Lighthouse is concerned. So it's really fun to see all the sites being built with Gatsby. People use Gatsby for docs, for apps, for blogs, marketing sites, e-commerce. So here's just some sites that launched in the last 6 months. Somebody running for governor in Colorado. I hope he's doing well. Designsystems.com. So this is from Figma. It's a cool site. So Nike, they launched their Just Do It campaign. Relaunched it recently with Gatsby, which was very fun to see. And then, EdgeDB. It's a new database in the works. This is an e-commerce store. They sell sprinklers. So if you want Gatsby-powered sprinklers, you can try it out. Code Sandbox, really cool tool. You can they actually just today they launched support for. Well, if you don't know what they are, they're online code editor. But they just launched support for Gatsby actually. So now you can go to Code Sandbox and say, I want to play with Gatsby, and then use Gatsby in the cloud, which is really, really nifty. Tinder made a site. Stitchfix.com is on Gatsby. Lots of cool sites. We're also now a company. So me and my best friend, we started a company and raised money and hired some people. So kind of, just be able to make more investment into Gatsby and to, just make the whole thing sustainable and much better than it would be without, an actual business model. So how to get started with Gatsby. So there's a command line tool. You install it, and then you just type Gatsby new, and then the name of your site, and then it installs a bunch of things, and then you have a kind of a fully set up Gatsby thing. And so you write Gatsby develop, and it'll set up hot reloading development. I'll do a little demo later. So you do develop for development environment, which is hot reloading, all that jazz. And then you type build to actually produce your site, which then you can deploy. And then Gatsby Serve starts a little local web server, so you can preview the site before you launch it. And we have a pretty comprehensive getting started tutorial that's aimed at, we've done a lot of kind of user testing with people new to programming. So we've actually, there's a lot of tricky words, as it turns out, that need explaining for people who are new to programming. Anyway, so it's really great. A lot of people use it a lot. It's really fun to see that. So I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. So I'm following the Love of Gatsby's tutorial, so beginner-friendly. Recent news, last week we launched Gatsby v2, which was a long time in coming, and it's super exciting to get out. This is, we had a little get-together. So we're actually a distributed team. We have people Asia, US, Europe, but we get together once a quarter or so. So this is us in Portland working on the v2 release. It's fun. So what's in v2? We did some upgrades to major dependencies. So we went from Webpack 1 to 4, React 15 to 16, Babel 6 to 7. And we did a lot of kind of optimizations around kind of the Gatsby's default runtime. So now we dropped that down to 53 kilobytes. And then we did some improvements to the development environment. So this is what we call ludicrous mode. So this is an editor set up to every keystroke to save. Let me run it again. So it's kind of anyways, it's very fast now to update when you make changes. Okay. Then also we did a lot of optimizations around improving like build speeds. So we have like a very simple benchmark site that is kind of like minimal of everything except, so it's just kind of like just testing how fast Gatsby can do very simple things, basically. So anyway, so we did a 100,000 page site in 75 seconds, which is not bad. I say it's a benchmark site just to be clear. Your site has 100,000 pages, it's not going to be that fast. But if you only have like a single letter on each page, then it will build in 75 seconds. Anyways, we also we care a lot about accessibility, and so we spent a bunch of time switching to a new router. So Reach Router is a new router from Ryan Forntz, who also was kind of like the co-creator of React Router. If you're in the React ecosystem, you know what that is. And he wrote it because it kind of like fixes accessibility, like for screen readers, blind screen readers, for single-page apps, like kind of React apps. And we switched to it, and it's kind of been a big win, not just for accessibility. It's a much smaller package. We saved like 10 kilobytes or something from doing that. Also has like simplified routing APIs. I kind of prefer the new version. Actually, I wanted to, what happened? He has a little video talking about how it works. So I'll show real quick.
Change this.
Oh, wait. I don't think you're going to be able to hear it.
CSS right here so we can see.
No, you're not going to be able to hear
what has focus.
Well, never mind. It's not that important. Anyways, go seek it out. It kind of explains how it works. Yeah, we also added a site showcase. I'll just show it since we're live. So it's cool. There's a whole bunch of Gatsby sites here that you can look at. You can also sort by category. So if you're like, what are the documentation sites built with Gatsby? And then voila, here they are, that sort of thing. We also worked with some folks at Google on a project called Guest.js. This is basically it allows you to use your analytics data to create like a model of how people go through your site. So if they're like, if you're on page X, which links are they likely to click on? And then we can use that information to drive like the prefetching of information. So like, because Gatsby, so when we load a site here, we're actually prefetching behind the scenes the data for these things up here. So you click on tutorial, there's like no delay because the data is already there. And we kind of have like a naive heuristic for how we do that. But Guest.js actually lets us use like real information because a lot of sites have a lot of pages that, despite how hard anyone worked on them, nobody ever visits. So no offense to whoever works on the not visited page. Anyways, but yeah, so you just like don't make people download those. They don't have to. So that's really cool feature too that we're really excited about. So React, so people, yeah, so people, the V2 has been really smooth. A lot of people are upgrading, like the React js.org is already on Gatsby v2. Yeah, so we'll jump into a quick demo. Shoop. Okay, so have a little split screen. So this is a Gatsby starter blog. Gatsby has this concept of starters that you can like, it's just like a Git repo, and then you can like do Gatsby new, whatever, and it'll just pull straight from there and start it. So it's kind of like a boilerplate thing for different use cases. So this is like Gatsby starter blog for doing a simple blog. And so if you just run Gatsby develop, then it starts up the development server. And then, yeah. And then, localhost 8000, so we just like refresh that, and cool. And then, it's like a fully functional version of your site, except it also has hot reloading. So here we're on the component for this page here. So this is like source. Oh, the code's probably pretty small, huh? Yeah. So this is source pages index.js. So any component in the pages directory gets automatically turned into a page on your site. So if we go to, so this bio component, if we copy that and save it, then we have now two of them. Save again. We have 3 of them. And then, yeah, stuff like that. You can add a new one, like hi LA. Does that. If you want to add, like, you know, some styles, you could say color. What's an LA color? Dr. Blue. What? Wait, hey, basil. What? I'm just going to do blue. Sorry, I can't hear you. OK. So yeah, so we have blue, we have pink, we have tomato. I really like tomato. Tomato's my favorite one of all the built-in colors, I think. Some I can't understand. Oh, Docker blue. Oh, Dodger. Oh, sorry. I don't. Sorry, Dodgers blue. I don't know what this is. Oh, wow. Okay, sorry. I'm just. We got to do this now. Okay. Wait, it's built into the browser? What? No. Hey, how did you get your own? Wait, who did? Wow. Wait, who'd you pay off to get that done? Like, how'd that? Wow. Okay, I just, that's amazing. Okay, so we'll just leave that there. That's really cool. That's really, yeah, I have no idea. Why don't the Giants have their own color? I don't know. Like this feels. No, I mean no, it's just. Anyways, I'll think about this later. Okay, so it's also cool too. Is like the query is also hot reload. So if you change the query, then the data changes. So we have this date. We're querying the date, which then shows up over here. But we also have this like format string, so you can like format the string of the date in your query, which is cool. So like, what if we change that to that, and then what happened? Dodger. Oh, there it goes. It just took a little while. Then we change it back, and then kind of like flips back and forth. Yeah, so this is all cool because most of building a site is just like trying stuff, because you kind of have like, even if you're given like quote unquote pixel perfect specs, it's not ever actually, it doesn't actually ever describe everything. There's still a lot of like fiddling, I guess you'd call it. You just fiddle around with things until it feels right. And so having everything set up and have everything being very responsive means that your fiddling cycles, you fiddle faster, if you will. Be a fast fiddler. And so that's what Gatsby is. Gatsby is just intended to make the developer experience really nice, which is largely around smoothing out everything so that you just kind of can move very, very quickly and when you're trying to do stuff. It's also cool because, and another thing, just one more thing I'll show off. We can like, if a big part too of building out a site is just adding pages. So you can, another page. Another page. This is the built-in link component. So we save that, and then we click on it, and then it says, whoa, there's not a page yet there. Which is not, because I just made it up. So, but what we can do is we can just add it. Then we do import React from React, export default. We save that. Oh, I misspelled it. About page. Well, we'll just go where I actually made it. OK, there we go. OK. But as you can see, you can add pages, new pages really fluidly too. So that's the demo. And try out Gatsby.
That was awesome. I think we have a few minutes if we have some questions. We're kind of pushing it, but maybe is there any big questions on any of this stuff? Thank you. Yeah, this stuff's amazing. Like how'd you get here from the future?
It's it's actually Gatsby. Gatsby in the future gets some time traveling.
Yeah, nice.
Time traveling plugin. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you
It's
don't
actually
have...
just an NPM, so everyone has it, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Was there any... There's a question back there. What's up?
I have a few questions. The first one is, are you using Apollo or Relay for GraphQL? Second one is, are you using Next.js for the Beginnerfriendly? Third one is, sorry.
I'm forgetting already.
How about answer one question of your choice?
Do you have like I think you mentioned you have like a plugin system. So do you think it's gonna be like a WordPress thing, like you create your plugins and you're connected, or you are not considering doing that?
Yeah. So first question was like, is there using Apollo or anything else? It's just using the actual GraphQL.js package, which actually has all the GraphQL tooling. Apollo's great. I love Apollo, but this is just like it's our own kind of special thing. So it uses GraphQL, but it's not really tied to any other higher level GraphQL system. Server rendering, we don't use Next. Like Next is a completely different system. But both Next and Gatsby, I mean, we just do, like it's built into React. It's like render to string. And so you pass in a React component and it just spits out an HTML string. So it's actually, if I showed you the code that Gatsby uses for server rendering, it's very simple. Well, it's actually not. But it's kind of simple. Well, the line that renders it is actually very simple. Anyways, it's in between simple and very complex. And so the third question was, I forget, what was the third question? Oh yeah, plugin system like WordPress. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the idea, though. I mean, WordPress plugins have too much freedom, so sometimes they cause ruckuses. So Gatsby plugins, we try to be a little more constrained so that they're like, so generally speaking, Gatsby plugins are much more, it's pretty safe to use because they're pretty constrained in what they can do. But the overall intent is similar, in which is plugins are nice because it allows the community to develop solutions beyond what the core does. And so, the scope of what, a tool can do can grow beyond what is capable for like one team that's maintaining core to kind of handle. And I think that's really important because, websites particularly are just, there's a gazillion different use cases, and so it's nice to have a plugin system to be able to cover all those use cases, and not try to because if you don't have a plugin system, it turns into this like battle like, does the core get bigger or does the core stay small, and everyone has to write the same thing over and over again in their own projects. And so plugins kind of break that dilemma, allowing the core to stay small and focused, but still covering a breadth of use cases. And it works as long as the plugin system doesn't suck. So that's our goal, to make it not suck.
Very cool. Sounds good. Give it up for Kyle. 2 excellent talks. Thank you very much for coming into town.
Yeah.
Have a good night.